Welcome to Art Scene. We are talking with Mike McCarthy, not from the communist era, but the sculptor extraordinaire. Mike, how's that drink?
It's empty. I'm just pretending
It's just for
for the
show.
camera.
So you have just unveiled some Bowie almost sculptures.
Where were you?
I was there in the big crowd. You couldn't see me. There were so many.
You know what? I was talking
Like
to so many people. Yeah. No, it was great. We unveiled the four faces, the personas of Ziggy Stardust and Bronze at the Faces of Bowie at Connect Music.
Okay, but just the faces are right now in bronze.
Right.
You're waiting to do the rest.
A lot of people are not putting the ideas together that those bronze faces that are basically like this prototype.
Looks like bronze to me.
Yeah. This is a paper mache prototype of what the bronze face, the scale for
The lightweight bronze.
for the 10-foot figure that this I'm constructing right now out of clay and iron and spray foam.
So a lot of people looking at this will say, why?
Why? Because
David Bowie's not Memphis, is he?
he has the same birthday as Elvis, but no. This is a costume designed by Kanzai Yamamoto that was worn by Bowie in the Sakuda photograph. Sakuda would later go on and take photographs of Bowie.
No, go back to this one. I know. But
Well, that's crazy, the Japanese crowd.
it's so
But a lot of people don't know that he, if I can find it, I thought I had it earmarked.
we
There
practiced
it is.
for this.
Yeah. He also took the Heroes, the photograph for that album.
Which is totally different kind of picture than the other.
Totally than this. But I have a nonprofit called Sculpt Memphis. Any question you ask me has a long answer attached to it, so you'll have to interrupt me. But
Favorite thing to do.
I have a nonprofit called Sculpt Memphis. The goal of my nonprofit is to place in the landscape, in a sculptural, sort of a heritage trail, if you will, a musical heritage trail of Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, Sam Phillips, Carl Perkins, Alex Chilton, Aretha Franklin, people that were post-war rock and roll Memphis icons. Memphis changed the world. It could be, Sam Phillips' story is probably the ultimate capitalism story for the American century, which is the post-war scenario that Memphis found itself in as the birthplace of rock and roll, which was taking country, blues, gospel, pop, and blending that into what would become Elvis Presley. And we have Elvis sculptures. They're not Memphis-centric Elvis sculptures. Get back to that later. They represent other periods and other geographic locales. But Bowie is sort of my counterintuitive approach, just saying, hey, I'm having a lot of trouble. Everybody loves the idea of a Howlin' Wolf sculpture, say, where Nathan Bedford used to be, or a Muddy Waters sculpture at Crosstown Live Nation. Because Muddy Waters probably got his guitars mail ordered to the Sears building in the 30s. So why not put Muddy Waters there? Aretha Franklin, birthplace, Willie Mitchell, Royal Studios. You see where I'm going. Alex Chilton, Overton Square. And speaking of Overton Square, Bowie, who visited Overton Park at the invite of Dolph Smith 52 years ago last Tuesday, when he was here for the Aladdin Sane tour, the second Ziggy Stardust show of that leg of the tour, where he came back with the Japanese clothing and sans eyebrows, and Ziggy was evolving.
You do not sleep at night. How does your brain hold on to all of this? How do you know all of this? Do you know as much about other subjects, or is this just so near and dear to your heart?
Well, I made the mistake of reading books.
The library can't have you.
Books with pictures, comic books mostly. But to answer your question, why Bowie, I'm kind of getting to it in a long way. Bowie performed the second Ziggy Stardust show in America in Memphis. He came back in February as Aladdin Sane. He had different personas as Halloween Jack, as Tokyo Pop in the photograph I showed you earlier. And he came to Memphis. Why? Because Memphis was truly an international place where you came, especially if you were a rock and roller, who owed your whole identity and your career path to what happened in 1950 1954 through 1956 and beyond in
He
Memphis,
recognized it.
Tennessee. So we may have Memphis International on the sign out at the airport. What I'm trying to do is show why we were ever considered to be international to begin with, why Memphis mattered so much in the post-war American century. We influenced generations of thinking and thought, and those concepts were fueled by rock and roll. And now rock and roll is just commonplace. In fact, it could be dead. But I think we need to remember the icons. So if I can get a David Bowie sculpture in Overton Park to honor his visit to the art school where he spent 5 hours with the spiders from Mars, then it shouldn't be too hard to get a Howlin' Wolf sculpture or a Muddy Water sculpture or a Memphis Mini sculpture or a Robert Johnson
So you
sculpture.
start with the hard one.
Start with the hard one and be counterintuitive.
What I love is that you've read, you know all of this stuff. This is all one of the reasons Memphis is so important, and we need to bring it out there for people to see. This is something to be proud of. We are Memphis.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that. So how did you first come up with the concept other than you don't sleep at night?
Well,
I mean, it's a big thing to bite off.
I worked at Sun Records for 3 years, 4 months, and 5 days, around 4 years. But learning, I mean, when I moved here in '84 to go to art school, again in Overton Park, I didn't know anything. You have this vague notion, oh yeah, Elvis, Memphis, sure,
From
near Tupelo actually. But Mississippi was also doing a lousy job of promoting the fact that it changed the world. So I come here, and in the '80s, we weren't really concerned about too much of anything, especially downtown, either. But skip the years, you find out there's different levels to why these people continue to be they work themselves into any zeitgeist that America or the world seems to stumble into. So I found out more and more about Elvis. I worked at Sun. I found out about rockabilly. I found out about Carl Perkins, Johnny Cash. I sculpted the Johnny Cash sculpture in Cooper Young because I lived in Cooper Young for 25 years, and I learned that his first show was in Cooper Young in a church. And I just wish the city and the county would put more effort into making it mandatory that the concepts of what created rock and roll the seeds were here, and otherwise, why did these people pick up on it?
the entire world.
Well, yeah, but I'm
Put to Memphis.
Ike Turner, Jackie Brenston, the Delta Cast, Willie Kizzard, Creating Distortion with Sam Phillips. There is a parallel and an analogy that goes back to everything that was important about music and pop culture in the 20th century. It started in Memphis, and we've let other people sort of take that,
usurp it. Take
our identity. Not that identity can't be shared with other cities and so forth,
Absolutely.
but it needs to be.
But we should be shouting it from the rooftops too, because it started here and it continues here.
And so glam rock and Bowie and those London kids that T-Rex, Mark Bowen, all those people, they were basically post-Beatles trying to come up with something to invigorate the beginning of the 70s. And they all came back to, in fact, there was a trend in the early 70s that was revisiting the 50s. That's why we wound up with Happy Days, because of American Graffiti in America. But over there, they went back to Teddy Boy fashion and slicking their hair back. And eventually out of that comes glam rock, which is rockabilly in outer space, I feel.
So you're a sculptor, you're an artist. Do you feel like you could have as easily been a musician?
Well, I've been in a couple of bands, but nobody wants to talk about it.
So you try.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm a cartoonist, really. I'm an illustrator. So to go from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions, 4 dimensions, the Bowie sculpture will have 4 rotating weather vane faces showing Tokyo Pop, Halloween Jack, Ziggy Stardust, and Aladdin Sane, to show you the personas, because you can't just, it's the changes that Bowie went through with Ziggy Stardust.
Where can people go and see this and maybe support you now?
I'm in the process of creating a Sculpt Memphis website page, where you would go and donate money. I do need money. The bronze,
We all need money.
the bronze faces are done, and on the steel rods, the weather vane, they're ready to go. They're ready to be mounted on the body. The body is going to take anywhere from, I think a boilerplate figure would be $120,000. You have to buy bronze. I would like to get paid. There's a crazy idea.
Eat once in a while.
And
How long
the Luger foundry, I should throw that in. And installation, there's all kinds of cost.
other than just this pretty artwork? And
Well, yeah, there's a cost associated with putting a 10-foot tall sculpture up anywhere.
how long does it take to sculpt in bronze?
Well, I'm at a place right now.
Right?
Huh?
It's hot.
Well, I'm at a place called Connect Music on Vance right now. And if anybody gets in touch with me, they can come see the process. I'm working on the back of the sculpture. I'm working on Bowie's butt right now. Turns out he didn't have much of one. I'm scaling it down. But people are welcome to come by and they can see the bronze bases.
Bowie's butt?
Bowie's butt. Come see it quick before it's gone. And the Kansai Yamamoto suit that he's in, and the pose that I'm capturing him in, which is from the Hammersmith Odeon show, the last Ziggy show in London.
We are running out of time. And I say this a lot, but you definitely have to come back because you've got more to talk about this and just talk about music in Memphis. I mean, it's such a history lesson.
Yeah.
Up-to-date history.
Sure. What? I'd love to.
Mike McCarthy, he's a sculptor. He's a illustrator. I was going to say illusionist. You're probably that too. Things going on in your backyard, and you can go and see it and maybe be a part of it. And that is truly a Memphis things. Get out and enjoy your city. Da-da-da. Da-da-da. You hold still for a moment. Let them catch it.
Well, the best moments are
Not going to.
the best moments are
See 'em.
walking here. Walking out Rhonda. Help me, Rhonda.
Welcome to Art Scene. So many things going around in your town. And one of those things going on at Mud Island, and we've talked about it before. Marvin Stockwell is with us. Welcome to the show, Marvin.
Always glad to be here, Rob.
Marvin is with BVO, Baron von Opperbein. I've been practicing.
Baron von Opperbein.
Opperbein.
Baron von Opperbein in the River Times. It
That close.
flows right off the tongue, does it not?
Oh, the old
Evo for short, just to
Evo.
keep it simple.
Bevo, the old Mud Island Museum is finally being repurposed on a wing and a prayer, basically. You all show up here every day working on this concept. What is the concept?
Sure. So it's an immersive experience that we're building into the
Like
old.
the holodeck on Star Trek.
Yeah, it's like a choose your own adventure, really. Or a lot of people have observed that it's more like an open world video game where you're walking around, except you're walking around a physical space that's extended by, digital displays and other projection mapping, et cetera. So it'll be a place where you walk in, you won't quite know what it is you're supposed to do because part of the joy is figuring out what you're supposed to figure out, right? And then you figure out the challenges and make your way through the 33,000 square feet that we've gotten access to work in. The museum space was incredible to begin with. It's already an immersive space that we've been given access
Built right to begin with.
You're right. I mean, there are two giant boats in there, right? How many people? I actually think it's our competitive advantage. Other immersive experiences have to build into an old Kmart or Target, and they seek those places out because the real estate is cheap. In Memphis, we just happen to have access to this unique space that needed a think outside the box idea.
That already had a story with it. So you're not starting from scratch, but you're able to build on it any way you want to. So you're using high tech to create high tech.
Right. It's really a blending of art and tech is a good way to think about it. It's both the physical art that you see on the wall here in the portal gate that Christopher has made. And then, in the background, what's on the screens is like a rough draft of sorts that my colleague Catherine Hicks has done. But ultimately, what you see through windows will be the world that you're experiencing, that you're exploring.
So I was talking to Chris before the show when I first got here, and I was like, is this not every child's dream of what an adult gets to do? I mean, never mind banking and post office and stuff. That's all very important, right? But how much fun to go and basically make a comic book every day, Chris.
Right. I've taken my kids
Machine.
to some other immersive experiences and to see them work together to do problem solving. to meet other people who are in the same experience. And
Without you telling them to.
yeah, I mean, they did pull me in and we did do some problem solving together, but largely I stood back and watched their kind of camaraderie be the kind of like engine of them figuring it all out. And sure enough, by the end of the experience, they'd established the comms link with the spaceship or whatever it was they were supposed to do. And they just, it was such a sense of accomplishment.
So it's still kind of a difficult idea to grasp.
Yeah.
How difficult was it to sell it to the government that has to be in on it? I mean, the city of Memphis is totally in on it, right? To any donors, how do you explain it to them?
Sure. What the shorthand I'd probably start with is a choose your own adventure or like an open world video game. It's problem solving. It's it is an interesting experience to like a lot of times I'll ask people had they been to Meow Wolf or to the City Museum in St. Louis. The City Museum is very much an immersive playground. It's an old St. Louis shoe factory that's been turned into the most like, Dr. Seuss level crazy place to go climbing. And that was probably far and away Christopher's main inspiration. But, immersive art galleries is what I would say Meow Wolf is. And a lot of people have maybe seen that immersive Van Gogh traveling art exhibition. That's kind of part of that universe. It's where art really comes to life through projection mapping and the use of other digital displays, et cetera. But what we're doing is combining the immersive art gallery with the immersive playground and then adding a game layer.
So what it sounds like to me is that you are inventing and making things up on your own as you go along inside of a structure that's already built,
Yeah.
that's laying out a playground for you, giving you, paths that you can take, and with the high tech. So how spoiled is the city of Memphis? Because the old Mud Island Museum belongs to them.
Mhm. Well, I like to give credit where credit is due, and I always point this out, but Mayor Paul Young is the first one that suggested to Chris and me that we consider Mud Island. He was the head of the Downtown Memphis Commission at that time, but since he's become mayor, and I was talking a little bit about this before we went on, Paul campaigned on arts as an economic driver, and his transition team had 4 people that kept that as a focus, and now he's hired DeMarcus Suggs, to really operationalize that thought, and they're doing all sorts of events around town. I participated in some of them. So my point is, Paul campaigned on it, and Mayor Young is following through on it. So I feel like Bevo can be the art and tech generative kind of like a beachhead, if you will, or tip of the spear here for Mud Island. And Mud Island, as we've worked here over the last couple of years, or just the last year and change, has been really it's an incredible piece of real estate.
That was doing nothing.
It's too good to have it not come back to full functioning. It is worth saying, it is still a lovely park, and so anybody who's watching this, you should come out and check out Mud Island. There's still actually plenty to do. Memphis River Parks Partnership keeps the park up. You can still walk the river walk and read the signs, and tourists still do.
That's important
Yeah,
to point
yeah.
out that it's not just a dead zone, that there's still more happening here.
There's a real curiosity about Mud Island right now because we're in the news a good bit. The efforts to have a pop-up concert series at the amphitheater is generating interest. We were here just standing here at the portal gate, and we saw this guy looking in the gate, and we're like, "Oh, can we help you?" He was a documentary filmmaker wanting to make a film about the comeback of Mud Island. We're like, "Well, let us show you the place."
Man, so I just see potential here. I see all kinds of potential, and it's just laying there for years with people not really knowing what to do. Maybe they were afraid to take it on or something, and y'all have just launched into it. So what has changed since we were here last?
Well, the portal gate is definitely the probably newest kind of like
What time?
ooh and ah kind of thing. But Catherine also that display that's on those digital display back there is new. So I would say that this room, platform 34 and the portal gate into it is really the most complete conceptual piece of Bevo to date. And if Chris were here, he'd say he's still not done with the portal gate. He's got other
He's not
enhancements.
done with anything.
He's really not.
So he's never done with anything.
And there's more that we need to do inside platform 34. I mean, as you can see, there are all sorts of tools in there. We're going to clear the tools out once
Could
we
be
started having
part of
folks.
the display.
You never know.
You never know.
But yeah, so it's oh, and then and I should say that The River Room, where other interviews of this this show were
We've been
taped,
there.
that's also open and hosting events. So we were playing around with it with alternate things to call it. We'll call it the Bevo Lounge. But the more we started thinking about it, we've incorporated the river theme into Bevo. We're like, River Room is kind of perfect.
It's
So we just
perfect, and we were there talking about it, being
So we just-
watching the river go by.
that's right. So we just thought, well, let's just not change branding for no purpose. So it used to be called the River Room. It's the River Room at Bevo.
Okay, so usually there are committees who decide these things, or you have to bring an idea up to 19 different people or something. Y'all are just kind of fly by the seat of your You're like, oh, that's not the Bevo Room, it's the River Room, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to pass it by anybody.
Well, we have a contract with Memphis River Parks Partnership, which oversees riverfront parks for the city. And so, yeah, we're in here making creative decisions all the time. It is kind of a real treat, really, quite frankly. And I've been part of like more complex systems where everything has to have
Yeah.
approvals and stuff. And that does not mean that we don't have I mean, we have a contract that was well thought through and negotiated with lawyers looking at it. So we have the typical like provisions in place.
You got your roadmap.
Yeah, we do. We
And
do.
you can go off road when you want to.
Yeah, and we're excited about what we could be, even in the time period where it's just us and, say, the restaurant Mahogany. I always want to give them a shout out because there is a restaurant open on Mud Island Mahogany.
It's a good
It's a good restaurant. But I think we can thrive. What I've seen in other immersive experiences is they're often in like strip malls on the edge of town that are half full, and they're still successful. So my point is, there is a hunger in this country and elsewhere in the world for immersive experiences. They're successful, but if you think about the whole 52-acre parcel, what if we were surrounded by an entertainment district or maybe even an immersive district?
Other things to do.
Yeah, but that was well thought through where the amenities really, wove together.
And each other.
We could be even that much more successful, I think.
It would be such a destination, not just for Memphis. So I'm thinking the mayor's office is probably thinking this is also a destination that brings in tourists.
Yeah.
I mean, gives tourists something to do if they're already here, but also brings in tourists. And I don't think we've had a new venture in several years that brings in tourists on its own.
Yeah, it's a different type of tourist draw. It's a complimentary tourist draw. I mean, we've got all the music history stuff that you'd want to go see in a million years, right? If you're an outdoors person, you've got Bass Pro.
Bass Pro.
I'm not an outdoorsman. I'm the kind of guy that like
Evidence.
I catch the fish if I catch them at all, and then I just put them back. I don't.
Oh, no.
I can't.
like
So
squid,
I can't-
fish.
I can't do it.
Oh, I love fish.
But my point is, we've got something for people who love the great outdoors. But my point is, we don't have
What do they call it? The outdoorsman. The TV show.
super.
Okay.
So we don't have an attraction like Bevo. And
No, we don't. And it is where the future is going. Let me ask you something. A couple of minutes left. So once it's up and running, how do you keep it updated and fresh?
Mhm. I'm so glad you asked that. Now, one of the reasons
See,
that
we're
one of our advantages is that we have digital displays that we can change the content out with by using Unreal Engine is the kind of content platform that or the device that
it's
uses.
just not static.
No, absolutely not. I mean, in the boat room, we will have a projection mapping that with 6 different destinations, and we can change the destinations as easily as just opening up a computer program and tweaking things. So we can even have daily events if
What
we
we
wanted.
get to Mars, we can go to Mars here, maybe?
You could perhaps,
It could happen.
but we've got one of 2 boats. The first of our 2 boats that are in here will be traveling a wormhole in the multiverse. And it'll go to at least, we've talked about 6 different destinations. And the beautiful thing is people will find out if they work really hard at it, that they can take control of the ship.
Sounds like our government right there. So what do people need to do to be involved, to see us on the way? And this is not a fundraising show, but we all need money to operate.
Sure. So we are looking for investors. So bevoexp.com is our website, or you can, through the end of April, our WeFunder crowd investing campaign is still open. And that's bevo. That's where people can go and invest and hopefully earn a return. You know, you always have to say investing involves risk. You know, you have to say that legally.
It involves fun if you invest here, quite.
I think so. And then the other thing is, and I had to work really hard to break myself of the word donation because it's an investment, right? It's an investment in a for-profit company. However, we do take donations of recycled materials. Most of the stuff that you see in this wall, just use materials.
Just looking at it and seeing what its life started out as, and you all have repurposed it, which is another great thing about it.
Everything you can see here, other than some paint we bought, and obviously the flat screen televisions that constitute the windows into the world, everything else was donated or existed in this museum already as leftover supplies.
That is so the future. The high technology of the future, the holodeck of the future, and the fact that you are repurposing, recycling. The BVO, Baron von
Opperbean.
Well, I want to call it an Opperbean, but Opperbean Museum on Mud Island. It's coming. You could be a part of it. Thank you, Marvin.
Thank you so much for
We'll come back and find out, as they do more, we'll come back.
You're always welcome. You're a friend of the Baron now.
I'm special. And you can be too. Get out and enjoy your city.